Well, basically what we're looking at, Laura, the problem we have in America is the spending problem. And the spending problem has also factored into the business problem. If you look at the recovery from this recession, this is the first recession in my lifetime that we haven't recovered the jobs we lost. And we're at 7 million less jobs than we had when we started this recession. And I think we've tried spending, we tried stimulus spending, it didn't work. So I think what we have to do now is we're coming up against this debt ceiling is to cut the spending. And I think everywhere I went in town halls this past week when we were on break, that's exactly the message I heard from Democrats and Republicans and independents. They want us to stop the wasteful Washington spending.
All right. Eric Yaverbaum is here with us on set, and he's the president of Ericho Communications, co-founder of readtovote.org. I know that you have read through some of his plan. I want you to chime in and have a conversation.
Well, I think that inevitably the way that this has to play itself out is that we can't keep spending the way we are. I think everybody knows that we can't do that. But now we're running up against the debt ceiling. What are we going to do? We're going to increase the debt ceiling. We're going to have no choice. We're going to at least I believe, we're going to have to raise it. But I do believe that it has to be tied to cut in spending. This country has got to change the way we spend. We've used our credit card. We've overused our credit card to bring it down to its simplest terms. We've spent too much. It's time to figure out how we're going to cut.
Congressman, how's that? Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you ready to chime in.
Let me sort of give you just some of my background. I was the mayor of a local city, Johnson City, Tennessee, and we found ourselves in 2003 in a big hole with spending. So what did? We had a very, very rigid, we didn't raise taxes, we cut the size of government, and in 2008, when everybody else, we'd raised our fund balance from 2 million to 24 million, and what happened was in 2008, when everybody else was going off a cliff financially, our bond rating actually went up. Now, fast forward to where we are now. Moody's has threatened to downgrade the bond rating of America. Let me tell you what a big deal that is when you look at debt. If you downgrade it, that means your interest rates you pay for borrowing goes up. Right now, we're borrowing between 1% and 2% on 14 trillion with a T. That's 12 zeros. And guess what happens if that goes just to 4 or 5%? The biggest outlay that we have in the U.S. government will be interest on the national debt, of which we get nothing for that. So I think it's absolutely essential that we cut spending. And by the way, next week, I just left conference not 30 minutes ago, and we're going to have probably a vote on a clean, so-called clean debt ceiling increase next week. I don't think it'll pass, but I think it's going to come to the House floor for a vote.
Congressman, what has the reaction been? Are people, do you feel, on board with this idea? Tell us a little bit about what you're hearing in Washington, D.C. on this.
I think this is what I believe will happen. I think we'll have a clean vote on the debt ceiling just to increase it, just to give the government a chance to borrow some more money. I don't think that has any chance of passing. What I see happening is that we're going to see at least, as Speaker Boehner talked about, a dollar for dollar cut. I don't think anybody's going to vote to just increase it off the cuff. I think what will happen is we'll see real meaningful cuts. And what I'd like to see is, because I don't think the discipline's in this place, the 3 years I've been here, to maintain that. I'd like to see a balanced budget amendment on top of that so it has teeth. My state has that, the city I live in has that, the county I live in has that. Families do that. It's time for the federal government to behave exactly like our families do and our local and state governments do.
And what would you like to see, speaking of families and the American public, what would you like to see from the American public? How can people listening to your words right now who are joining us on this program, how can they participate? How can they be active in this?
Oh, listen, what your show is great. It's a way with the new media to be able to contact us through email, through Twitter, Facebook. We do all of that, and I would encourage all of our viewers to get in touch with their congressman, let them know what's on their mind. Listen, we are the people's representative, and when I go home, I spend every day out on the road talking to people at Hardee's, at small restaurants, at schools. I went to 5 schools last week and talked to high school students about this. It's a huge issue for them, and what bothered me is that when they're in their mid-40s raising their families, all of these entitlement programs are going to come crashing down on top of them. It isn't right. And I don't intend to leave America different than my parents left it for me with the opportunities I've had to be successful. I want young people to have exactly the same one. It's time to make the tough decisions.
Do you find that high school students, I mean, are they up on this conversation? Are they willing to participate? They're interested?
Oh, they absolutely are. I go in and hold a town hall for them exactly like I would for anyone else. Last Monday, I was at in Greenville, Tennessee, at the Niswanger Foundation that has interactive classrooms. And so we were actually in classrooms in 3 different schools interactively on the internet. And they absolutely do. They're tuned into the new media, and they knew the great questions, no different than they would be if I was at a town hall that I carried out throughout the district.
All right. Well, Congressman Phil Rowe, thank you so much for this story. And you had mentioned that people can people follow you on Twitter? Oh, I see your website. We've got your website up. Tell people how they can find you and join in your conversation.
Oh, they can Twitter, Facebook, and www.house.gov. And we'd love to hear from you.
All right. I love it. Thank you, Congressman, so much for being here today, and good luck in your venture.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we've got more news ahead right after this.